Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Best of the Rest podcast with Stix and Freezer. How are you, mate?
Good, Stix. How are you, Cover?
Yeah, fantastic, mate. Fantastic.
Bloody oath.
I'm excited for today's pod.
Yeah, about to actually get into some predictions.
About time we jump on the bandwagon.
Yeah, we're ready.
It's going to be a spicy season. So what are we covering today?
We'll have a bit of look at the 2025 Constructor Championship predictions.
Very nice. I am keen.
Start at 10 and go to 1.
Sounds good.
See what differences we've got or similarities and have a bit of a chit-chat about them anyway.
Are we going to announce who we're jumping on this year?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's confirm it. I think maybe a couple of listeners might know who I'm on. No one would know who you're going for.
Yeah, I've sort of switched it up. I was sort of unofficially on Ferrari last year.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've made a bit of a change. So you go first, mate.
So I am a McLaren man. I've got the papaya on now.
Looking fantastic, I must say.
The Oscar Piastri shirt, my man. And who have you jumped to?
Well, it might be a tough year for me. Like, I'm still going to have a soft spot for Ferrari.
Yep.
Yeah, but currently wearing the Williams shirt.
Ooh.
Williams, that's who I've jumped on this year. I followed Sainz over from Ferrari, and I'm all in.
Yeah, it's a sexy little mint green kind of soccer polo top.
Yeah, a bit of a weird colour. I don't really know where they got the mint green from.
I'm not sure, but
I'm not arguing.
I don't mind it.
Looks all right.
I wouldn't say it shouts Williams, but I mean the name on the front obviously does, so
And
that's all that matters.
I'm keen as. Albon, Sainz, I reckon.
Oh, man.
Sick duo.
I'm excited for that because it's just going to be a real leveler for Albon, just a real gauge.
We can see
know what Sainz can do. And Sainz as a driver and as a man, like he's a man.
Top bloke.
Oh, he's a bloke. Bloody oath.
It's it's fitting for the name of the pod too, isn't it? Best of the Rest. And I'm hoping that's where they'll sit. I
think that's where they'll sit, but I guess you have to listen to this rest of the episode to see exactly where they're going to sit.
Yeah, well, where we bloody hope anyway.
Where we think they're going to sit.
All right, about that time we jump into it then.
Let's get it started.
All right, 10th. Fire away, mate. Who have you got for 10th?
I've gone for Steak Sauber.
Same here.
Righto.
Quite original thought. Are we going to have the same problem that we had last year where we basically had the exact same setup apart from one or two?
Bloody hope not. For the purpose of the pod, we are pretty similar in our personalities and what we're into. Yeah, so
great minds think alike, as they say.
Yeah. Bloody oath. But
we'll see. But anyway.
We'll see. So starting with Steak Sauber, I guess to kick us off, no pun intended.
Are they still sponsored by them this year?
Yeah, I think they're still Kick.
Yeah, right.
Kick Steak Sauber.
I wouldn't want my name fucking associated with those tractors.
Oh, mate. So my thinking is obviously they're rebranding as Audi 2026. So my thoughts is that they're possibly going off how they performed last year.
Shit.
Is that they will probably focus more on the brand of Audi and try and get that into a reasonable level, especially with the new regs coming in. Just try and pick that up and see if they can run with it and get a decent midfield position.
Yeah, sort of similar thought process to you. Basically, I'm thinking the car's shit. For lack of a better word. So they got a lot of work to do to make it competitive. So with the reg changes coming up, I think they'll probably just hold out for that and actually dial in a half-decent car. It'd make more sense than, trying to fix something that's probably a little bit too far gone to be actively competing for points.
Absolutely.
All right, ninth, I've gone for Racing Bulls. Thank God we've gone different.
Are we?
Haas.
Who you got?
Haas, mate.
Wow.
And I'm sort of already regretting that decision, but...
Okay. Tell me more. Tell me why.
I think it's just going to be really competitive in that middle bunch of teams.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I don't really rate Ocon, even though he's decent and the car did come good, but I don't know, gut feeling. Yep. I reckon Behrman will go all right, but I'm just backing him in to be ninth. I think it'll be quite competitive, probably from 6th to 9th.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah, I've got that kind of feeling as well. So Racing Bulls kind of being ninth. No real disrespect. Probably just, I don't really think they're going to be on it. And their kind of head team as such as Red Bull. Actually, I won't say too much there. Back to the Racing Bulls. Yeah, I just think that they, might not quite be on it. They've got Sonoda, who's a steady pair of hands, and they've got Hadjar, who, we don't really know where he's going to come in.
Mixed reviews from what you hear.
Mixed reviews, yeah. A lot of hype, in a couple of interviews and stuff they've heard, and then it goes quiet for a while, so...
It's going to be interesting because you've got in my opinion, a gun driver there in Sonoda, but just not respected by the team. So what goes on there? Are they listening to him? Are they trying to build a car for him? Or are they going to, it's a bit of a mess.
They need to get round Yuki. I love the bloke. Little bloody pocket rocket, just bundle of joy.
And he's cleaned up his act since he lost his shit at Bahrain last year. Like, he actually had a solid season and didn't really lose his shit.
No, all right, Yuki.
Yeah. Very pacey. Like, what would he do in another car? It could be anything.
Yeah, like I'm looking forward to Lawson being in the Red Bull, but I'm disappointed that Yuki wasn't given the opportunity.
Would have been amazing. All right, we'll keep moving then. 8th, I had RB in for 8th, basically echoing what you've said, but I reckon I do feel Hadjar might struggle, and I've heard that in his career up until this point, he's had a few... let's say, avoidable accidents.
Sure.
So you can't really carry that over to Formula One.
Yep.
But we'll see.
To change things up a bit, debatably, maybe some people agree, I've gone Aston Martin, 8th.
8th. Huge call.
So...
Huge.
They were 5th last year. I just think that with Newey sitting out the back of the garage, that they maybe are going to focus a bit more on next year, and Newey will probably put his attention more into next year than this year.
Well, I guess he doesn't start until March, does he? So
yeah, I'm pretty sure it's March that he comes off his pick and flowers leave.
So he hasn't really had any input in this car. He'll probably tidy up the processes, but
I'm sure Aston Martin's garden beds are looking immaculate
mighty
right now.
fine.
Oh, imagine what he could do to a garden bed. If that's what he can do to a car.
The water would be dispersed immaculately, adequately to every plant.
It's like the videos where you see the leaves twirling and they got that little airflow coming off the back.
You've lost me. Got the blank stare on that one.
The animations and stuff. No, don't worry about it. Moving on, eh?
So you think 8th?
I think 8th. That's where I've put them. I did debate for a while. I just think they're going to focus a bit more on following years.
I think they'll be dangerous in the years to come.
Yeah, I was actually debating whether they were going to be a team that focused on next year or whether they tried to focus on this year and try and pick up some sneaky points.
I do feel if they come out of the box and are competitive and scoring points, then they'll probably have a decent season. But if the opposite happens and they're just sort of, they're not close enough to score points, I think they will sort of bookshelf this year, bang, put it aside, sort of call it to a certain degree.
Yeah, well, they did start to decline at the end of last year, so I'm kind of going off that vibe and Newey having more of an input next year than this year.
And now let's get to the real reason you put them at 8th. It's because of fucking Stroll, isn't it?
I mean, that's definitely a contributing factor.
Like if you had Yuki sitting there next to Alonso.
Yeah, they'd probably be a spot or two higher.
Fucking Stroll. Alrighty. Let's not go down that path there.
Let's hit up 7th. What do you got?
I've gone Alpine 7th.
Alpine 7th.
Why have I put Alpine in 7th? I just don't rate them, to be honest. I don't know what it is. I just I rate Gasly. I think he's decent.
Yep.
The team itself's a bit meh. If I had to pick any team to be the villain in Formula One for myself, it'd be Alpine.
But we've got an Aussie boy racing there, Jack Doohan.
Well, mate, you've read the articles.
Oh,
He'll be lucky to be racing there for a month by the sounds of it.
come on, mate.
I'd love to see him do well, but it sort of sounds like the writing's on the wall already. But yeah, sort of no more reasoning than that. Sort of me just being a bit of a sook about him, really.
Right.
What about you?
Well, I've gone Williams.
For 7th?
Yep. So 9th last year. So I think just a couple of more positions up. I think, Albon's definitely not a bad driver, and Sainz is a magician and always improves every team that he goes to. I think they're on the incline, but the James Vowles has already announced that they're in it for the long haul, so he's playing the long game. So I think whilst they will still focus on this year, maybe a little bit more than others, they're probably also more focused on some of the newer regs. So I think Sainz and Albon will still do quite well. And improve the car a bit more than where it was at. But
I just love to see him competitive week in, week out in and around the points. You know, even if they're not scoring week in, week out, but just being competitive, I'd love to see that.
Yeah.
All right, so moving on to 6, just to flow on from that, I've got Williams at 6.
All right, and my flow on from that is I've got Alpine at 6th.
So a little switcheroo there.
Yeah. So you hit us up with your Williams prediction.
A few points to be scored. Thank God we didn't go exactly the same. Much the same. Like, I think Sainz and Albon, realistically, I rate that as probably up there with one of the best driver combos in the comp.
Man, imagine seeing them two in a top-tier car.
Oh, it'd be amazing.
But
2026, we can only hope.
With the Vowles promise, that might be where they're headed.
Can you imagine 26? We have
I'd love to see Williams up the top.
A 5th or a 6th team competing at the top, or, someone drops out and Williams is up there. It'd be so sick.
Wouldn't it?
It's sort of weird because in our time watching Formula One and being around it, Williams has always been a bottom team.
Yeah.
And then you see that old footage when they were up and about and they were the big dogs in town.
Yeah.
And it just seems weird.
Yeah,
but
doesn't it?
I'd love to see it.
I think they deserve to be back up there.
Well, we've witnessed McLaren. McLaren were struggling midfield and then started the year shit a couple of years back, and now they won the Constructors last year, so it can turn around.
Yeah, and for people that didn't know, I jumped on McLaren when they were still on the down.
Yeah, he's not a bandwagoner.
I think it was just before mid-season of 23 when I kind of jumped on. I think I jumped probably more for the Piastri factor. And then, just kind of like McLaren, the heritage. Then they've kind of taken off from there. So that's where I jumped on. But anyway, back to the predictions. So my Alpine at 6th. Similar to you, I don't know. They're just a kind of hit and miss. I think Gasly will be pretty solid.
Do you reckon Dillon will do a little bit of heavy lifting and score a few points?
I think he'll score a few points, but I don't think he's going to do too much.
Do you reckon he'll sees the season out, or are you banking on them finishing 6th because he gets the boot and Franco's in the seat? What's your thought process there?
No exact thought process. I've got a bit of a feeling that
just vibing it out, mate.
Dillon might not last the whole season. Not entirely because of him. I'm hoping that he comes out and smashes it because I'd love to see him do well, but I don't know if he's got the most decorated junior career. And then a lot of people are judging him on his one F1 performance, but in the last race of the season, who's going to jump into an F1 car for the first time and go and try and dominate? So I don't blame it at all. I'd probably have been doing the same thing and just use it as a session just to feel the car out, feel out the pace. So I'm not judging him on that, just all the hype around Colapinto and that he's been signed for a 5-year, well, I'm pretty sure it was 5-year reserve driver deal. There's got to be some kind of incentive.
Yeah, but the writing's on the wall, realistically.
Regardless of whether it's Dillon or Colapinto, I think Gasly will be strong, and as a team, they'll do enough to get himself up to 6th.
Only time will tell.
Top 5.
Right. Give me 5th.
For 5th, I've gone for Haas.
Ooh.
So a bit of a
That's our biggest difference so far.
bit
So
of
you've
a
got
big
them
difference.
5th and I've got 9th.
Yeah. It's a bit of a big difference from our predictions. So they were 7th last year, so I've gone up 2, and what were you, 9th?
Yeah.
So you've gone down 2. So my reasoning was kind of the flip side of the Aston and Sauber, is I think that Haas are probably just going to continue on a steady kind of trajectory under Komatsu, and they probably don't have any major incentive to focus on next year more than this year. So I'm just going with that gut feeling that they might get off to a good start.
Carry a bit of momentum from last year sort of thing.
Ocon and Behrman probably both want to prove themselves, especially in a new team.
I'm so keen to see Behrman.
Yeah.
Like a full season under his belt.
I think
from what we've seen of him so far, it's been unbelievable.
It's been unreal. Yeah.
So what happens when he's got time to actually prep and it's not just jump in the car in a few hours or the weekend coming up, you're racing and
what he did in Saudi was unbelievable.
Yeah, so I'm so keen for that.
Yeah, so I think I think they'll just be solid. They'll score decent points consistently. Not sure whether they'll get to podiums. Probably might depend on weather again, same as Ocon in Brazil. I think they'll both score steady, consistent kind of low-end points.
It's going to be interesting because Hulkenberg at times made that car look like a rocket ship. So it's going to be like, is it Hulkenberg doing that, or is the car half decent and K-Mag couldn't quite get the performance out of it, or
for sure,
stay tuned sort of a thing? Yeah,
it's just one of those kind of factors, and I think that's another thing that's going to make this year so exciting, especially at the start. Is just trying to see, was it the drivers or the cars that was making the performance good or bad? Like, was Hulkenberg putting it to places that didn't belong, or is that kind of where it does belong, and Ocon and Behrman might take it a bit further, which is maybe
sort
more
of your
along
line
the
of
lines,
thinking.
Of what I've kind of predicted.
Like just a quick side note, like I rate Hulkenberg. I reckon he's a gun, but he's also slightly underrated. Like he doesn't get spoken about a whole lot, but what he's done consistently has been quite impressive. So I'm also keen to see what he does this year in a tractor.
Yeah.
All right,
Fourth.
The pointy end.
Yeah, we're getting up there with the big hitters. I've gone with Mercedes.
Ooh, so high.
So have you.
Both Merc for fourth.
Okay. Do you want to lead us away with your view for that one?
Look, I think... I don't know. I've got a feeling that Mercedes are still going to be just slightly off the pace. Like they were hit and miss last year. Some tracks suited them better than others. I think Antonelli will have his moments, but he's a rookie in a top team, so I sort of expect him to be inconsistent. And I think Russell will go all right, but I just don't think they'll quite have the car to compete with the top three, pretty much. That's where my line of thinking goes.
What do you think about the kind of hype around Antonelli? Do you reckon you can stick him on podiums and win races?
I'd love to see it, but man, there's a lot of quick drivers in these top three teams,
isn't there?
So he's got to do he can't put a foot wrong for a whole weekend and get the most out of that car, and Mercedes need to put a good car under him for him to do that.
Yeah.
But if the hype is real and Mercedes produce a competitive car, he can definitely do it.
Yeah, it's possible. My thinking pretty well mirrors yours. Just Antonelli, new kid off the block. Don't really know what to expect. Bucket loads of hype. And I can see it, like some of those practice sessions, he was bloody quick, but he was crashy. Like, being saying that as well, Verstappen was quick and crashy. So, maybe there is the opportunity that he can dial it in and get it together.
It's going to be the year of the rookie, I reckon. Like, just there's going to be so many storylines going on with the rookies up and down the grid, and it's going to be sweet just tuning into that week in, week out, as well as the top end talent.
For sure.
Righto. Third.
Who
have you got on the podium?
I've got Red Bull.
Bullshit. Same.
You've got the bullshit.
Have we just copied out each other for the top 4? I thought we actually sort of might have switched it up a little bit this year. But
Well, it's starting to seem that way. I think we did that last year too.
yeah, it rings a bell.
Top 4 or something, and they'll
Bang on.
Anyway, last of the rookies for both of us then. Lawson in the Red Bull and reigning champion Max Verstappen. Pushing for 5 in a row.
Yeah, I think he's got his work cut out this year. I don't think he's going to have that car advantage.
Yeah.
If anything, I do think Ferrari and McLaren are probably going to have a slight advantage over Red Bull and Mercedes, but that doesn't mean Max Verstappen can't weave his magic.
No, well, you saw what he was doing last year when arguably he was in the 3rd fastest car and his teammates putting it in lucky to be points in most races.
Yeah, and then that raises questions such as, is Perez shit, or is that car just so tailored to Max that he can't get anything out of it, or is Max a GOAT, which, well, he is, but...
Yeah, he's a GOAT.
So this Lawson benchmark, again, not to sound like a broken record, but the rookie side of things is going to be interesting. What can Lawson do? How does he compete against Verstappen?
And he's got that added pressure of, maybe it was a flip of the coin of whether he was getting the seat to start with. So a Red Bull going to go back to those ruthless ways and
give him half a season.
Yeah, kick him out halfway if he's not right where they want him to be. Or are they going to go more down this Perez? This is a new Red Bull that they give him a season or two. So it'd be...
Yeah, it's going to be very, very interesting.
Yeah. So, my kind of vibe is bottom side of the top 3. Obviously, Max doing...
Heavy lifting.
Probably more than he should. And Lawson, I reckon he'll score steady points each race.
Keen to see what happens there as well.
Right, last chance for a difference.
All right, let's see.
Drum roll, please.
Second.
Who have you got?
McLaren.
Me too.
No.
I haven't backed me boys.
That's unbelievable.
I haven't backed me boys.
You must be bloody confident in Ferrari.
Oh, look. I don't know if I'm confident. I think it can go... it can go many ways this season by the looks of things.
So you think it's more of a 2-horse race?
I think it's mainly between Ferrari and McLaren, in my opinion.
All right.
I just think Piastri and Norris, bloody good driver combo. But seriously, can you beat Leclerc and Hamilton?
It's going to come down to whether Hamilton can perform in that Ferrari off the rip.
Yeah.
If he can, then they're on. If he takes a little bit to adapt, then you could leave the door open. But on paper, that duo is insane.
I don't want to talk too much about actual drivers because I don't want to give away too much of where we're putting for our drivers' championship that's going to come out shortly. But I think it's just going to be incredible if the cars continue to how they were last year. It's just we're in for a ripper.
We could have bloody 6, 7, 8 different race winners for the year.
Yeah, because I think Ferrari got out of the blocks quick and then stumbled. McLaren took over and ran away with it, and then Ferrari were chasing them down but just ran out of races.
Yeah, I think sort of Ferrari come good the last half a dozen races. They were sort of scoring the most points.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we're in for a ripper of a season from the constructor standpoint and the driver's standpoint.
Yeah.
But you just wouldn't want to be putting money on any of these teams because there's nothing that's a sure lock. And considering this time last year where it's Red Bull by how far and then that just didn't happen.
Yeah.
So keen.
Yeah. And I'd love to see the McLaren boys go back to back, but I just think that the Ferrari team just looks way too solid. If Hamilton has got a car under him and performs like we know he still can, because you got to think last year that Ferrari deal was announced in February or something.
Yeah, he's had a foot in that camp for
it was
a year
before the season started. So you got to think the Mercedes wouldn't have been tailoring the car to him.
No, not at all.
And he was saying that it didn't feel right in qualies and stuff. And one of the best qualifiers ever, probably the best, to then being struggling with his car on a Saturday, it's got to raise question marks. So,
and it does. And you hear in the media, oh, is he getting too old? Has he lost it? You know, is it Hamilton's best days past him? Well, yeah, probably his best days are past him, but it's probably a bit early to say whether he has lost it. If we get to the midpoint of the season and he's still struggling to qualify and he's barely scoring any points, then you might go, oh.
Do you think Hamilton can win an 8th World Championship?
Not this year. I don't think he can get the job done this year.
Yeah.
But next year, new regs, yes.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I agree. Well, he definitely can. If he will, another question. I don't think he'll be on it straight off the bat this year, new team, everything. But like you're saying, next year with new regs and maybe a couple of years following, he's still young enough and fit enough that I reckon he's got one more in him.
The scary thing for him is you've got a Verstappen, well, either Red Bull or wherever he could end up. There's a lot of rumours around his future.
Sure is.
But I think the biggest challenge overall is his teammate. Like, to win the world title, he needs to beat Leclerc.
Well, that's the other thing. Yeah, you got to start thinking about now is when we're talking drivers' championships, you got guys out there that haven't even won one yet, like Norris, Leclerc, Piastri, Russell, Antonelli, depending how good he is, Lawson, how good he is. Or, you know, maybe there's another one of these teams like, you know, we're saying with Williams, if they get up there, Sainz and maybe even Albon, like those guys could easily win championships.
Yeah, with the right car under them for sure.
So it's all going to be about what cars given to these drivers, and I mean, man, it excites the hell out of me.
And that's where I feel like the McLaren boys have also got the work cut out for them, because they're both going to be taking points off of each other. The battle between those two is going to be ferocious without adding any other cars in. So,
yeah, and I think a lot of these teams, you know, they're saying they're not going to have 1 and 2 drivers, which is probably true, but essentially whoever gets out of the blocks quicker, they're probably going to start to favour. Because judging by last year, if it's going to be as tight as that, which it normally does seem to be quite tight before reg changes, like you saw that 2021 season, like it was unbelievable. Like literally came down to the last race. We won't talk about how that race ended because that's
controversial.
Very controversial. But the season itself, like Verstappen and Hamilton just absolutely going at it from start to finish. Like unreal.
So we got papaya rules to potentially look forward to again this year. We'll see how that pans out.
Some papaya rules, some Tifosi rules. I don't know what Ferrari call theirs. We'll just go with Tifosi rules.
Yeah, it sounds usable.
Red rules.
Red rules. Righto, so that's our constructors' predictions for the 2025 season. We are stoked to see how it pans out.
We are stoked.
We are going to release the drivers later on in the week, so stay tuned for that one.
Bloody oath we will. I won't give away too much for that, but I'm not sure what our differences are yet, so
we'll see how that pans out.
We'll see how that pans out in the pod, but that's about it from us. Yeah. Time to box, retire today's episode. Thanks for joining us. If you've enjoyed the show, hit like or follow and share it with another F1 fan. You've been the best, and we've been the rest.
See ya.
Bye.
Look at this. This is not a dog. This is a piece of shit.